everybody, I'm Cynthia and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be learning about how to make pumpkin puree so that way we can make a pumpkin pie. Those are very hard to come by in grocery stores, especially if you want a gluten-free version, but it's not hard to make at home. First, you can make the pumpkin puree and store it for up to a week in the fridge or even for up to a year in the freezer. So if you have any old pumpkins laying around from Halloween that are still good and the bugs haven't gotten to them, well, rinse them off and clean them out, and let's get started and make that gluten-free. To make pumpkin puree, to be able to make your pumpkin pies, you're going to need a cut up pumpkin. So this is a pumpkin that my husband actually carved for Halloween, and I rinsed it out and scraped, make sure all the insides were scraped out and the top was cut off, and we put that in our recycling for our compost in our garden. And then the rest of the pieces I cut into fairly large chunks, just like this. And then what you're going to want to do is, I have an Instapot, but you can use any kind of pressure cooker. With mine, I like to use the base just because it's easier to get the pumpkin out after it's been cooked, because it will be really hot to handle, and you'll have to handle it while it's fairly hot to be able to get the skin off easier. So I put that in, and then I just kind of throw all the pumpkin pieces in, just any which way, until it goes all the way up to the fill line. Okay, so that's about good right there. It's not all the way to the top, but I can still get the lid on and it'll still come to pressure. So then you're going to add 1 cup of water into your pot. Okay, and you're going to set the Instapot on manual for 13 minutes, and you want it to be on high pressure. And you also want the valve to be up so that way it can actually seal. And then you're going to start. You're going to set it, forget it for 13 minutes, deal with your kids, do whatever you want to do. And then when it starts beeping and telling you that it's done cooking, you're going to come back and wait about 5 more minutes, so the counter is going to count down for about 5 minutes. Then you'll do a manual release of the pressure. So while the pumpkin's cooking, I'm going to tell you a little bit about where I found the recipe. I actually found it on domesticsuperhero.com, just did a Google search and found it on their website, and I just thought it would be a good idea to show you guys how easy it is to make things gluten-free in your own kitchen. You don't need to go out and spend lots of money on things that say gluten-free. You can go ahead and just make it yourself for way less money. Hey guys, so my Instapot just beeped and it's at 0. So we're gonna wait 5 more minutes and then we'll release the pressure. Hey, so the pressure cooker finally got to 5 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and press cancel and release the pressure. Okay, so the pumpkin is done. We're gonna open it up and start processing it for the pumpkin puree. So I'm going to take each piece out one by one and slowly work the skin off of it. Okay, so after the skin's off, we're going to put it in our food processor to puree it up. And then you just continue for the next one until your food processor is full. Alright, so now that we've gotten all the skin off of our pumpkin, we're going to go ahead and put the lid on here and go ahead. I don't know if you can see, but the pumpkin is nice and pureed. There's no more strings from the pumpkin that you can see, no more large bits, and that's how you know it's done. Looks like we actually missed a few pieces of the skin in the puree, but you can always put it back in the food processor and blend it up more. Eating the skin is not going to harm you, but it's also preference, so if you'd rather, you can always just pick out a few little pieces and put it off to the side. So now I'm going to scoop this up into 1 2/3 cup plus 1 tablespoon into food saver bags and seal them up, put them in my freezer. That way, when I'm ready to make my pumpkin pie, I have puree ready to go. So you can actually reuse your leftover water for your next batch of pumpkin, and you don't have to change the water every time, but if it's starting to look a little gross, then you can. Actually, the water with the pumpkin color in it will add more flavor to your puree, and oftentimes I'll start my second batch of pumpkin after I strain the first, so that way it can be cooking and almost ready to be done by the time I'm done preparing the first batch. Thanks for watching Let's Make That Gluten-Free episode on pumpkin puree. If you like what you saw, make sure you click the thumbs up button and leave a comment below and let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, or if there's anything that you would have changed. I love to learn from other people also. I'm hoping to feature a different recipe on my channel at least once a week, and I'll find these recipes online, but if you have a specific recipe that you'd like me to feature, just pop it below in the comments and I'll be glad to take a look. See you later.